Hey y'all, YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy Isaac back with another video. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? God is good, God is great, and He's greatly to be praised. I thank the Lord, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, because God is good. He's been blessing, He's been blessing us. Yes, sir. But I wanted to talk to y'all about this video will be about the pros and cons of leaving New York City. And I have more pros than I do cons, which is a good thing, because with anything, it's a positive and negative. For anything, it's a cause and there's an effect. But I have more what do you call it? I have more pros than cons. Because as some of y'all may know, I do have a desire, and I believe God gave that to me, to move from New York City one day. I don't know if it's gonna be maybe the next year, next 2 years or so, or however He gonna work it out. I know God gonna work it out, and that's the main thing. I desire to have me and my family out of here at some point, because it's so much going on. It's crazy, and I just wanted to make a video about the pros and cons of moving out of New York City. I guess we could start with the cons first. Um, First, the cons will be that of course, the stores won't be open as late as they do in New York. Because where we live, there's a 24-hour corner store. It never closes, so you could go around the clock and get what you get. You can get your sandwich at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. It doesn't really matter. Um, so that's the first con. First con is that you won't have the stores or even the mall close as late in the South as you do in New York. If anybody's from New York City, I'm not talking about upstate New York, but I'm talking about New York City, the five boroughs. If you lived here or you visited here, then you understand what I'm saying, what I'm talking about rather. Um, so that's the first thing. You won't have access to go to the store anytime that you would like to. The second thing is you most likely won't have public transportation to get on. You might have it in the city parts of the South, but not the outskirts parts of the South. Our transit system runs 24/7, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, around the clock. And in New York, that's the that's like the better way of traveling, rather than taking a cab, taking an Uber, or driving, because there's a lot of traffic you got to deal with, crazy people on the road, stuff like that. So you probably won't have public transportation, but again, it's quality over quantity. When you move, when you relocate, you trade off a couple things. You gotta get something. You gotta give up something to get something. Just like in the business world, it takes money to make money. Just like in the sports world, it you have to give up something that you probably don't want to give up, but you have to give it up in order to get what you're looking for. So that's con number two. Con number three is probably, you may or may not, miss your family in New York. I'm not saying that you may, you may not, but you probably will. You probably will miss, being in New York, being around family and stuff like that. If you have family here, because I still have family here, and I would miss them, leaving. But I know I could always come back up here and visit. That's the good thing about it. I could come back up here when I so choose to come back up here. I don't have to feel like I'm pressured. I don't feel like this is something that I must do because I'm here. Like I said, I love my family. I got family in New York, but I always had that option of coming up here and visiting. You know what I mean? That's three cons. So have access to the store at any time of the night. Public transportation, missing your family. That's probably the cons. Another con would probably be, I would say, about the jobs, because I heard the jobs, I've been told even by family members that live in the South, that the jobs in the South is not as much as the jobs here. But of course, because you know the cost of living in New York City is expensive, so the cost has to match up somehow with the cost of living. Of course, in the South it's a lot cheaper to live because the job rates, the money they pay you in the South is less. But even with $15 an hour in New York City, that's really technically that's not enough to live off of. Because you got food, you got rent, probably got cable, probably got internet. You got children. You know what I'm saying? You got to make sure your children are straight. You got to buy things for your house, little things. Cleaning supplies, garbage bags. Dish detergent. Bleach spray. Pine. Mr. Clean. All that good stuff. So all of that factors in. Con number 5 would be, I would say, you don't really see your money in New York City. You understand? So you could work, and a lot of times you need at least 2 jobs to supplement, the cost of living. And the rent in New York City is ridiculous already, and it's going up by the year, because some landlords, they have increases that they put in, with the terms of signing your lease. When you sign your lease, you look over. That's why you're supposed to look over stuff. Sometimes we don't always look over things, but when your landlord gives you a lease, they let you know this is the date that you're signing to either move in the apartment, or this is the day that you're, signing the lease, get your papers, so that you could prepare yourself to move into the apartment. And, within that lease, there is, if you read it all the way through, they usually tell you, okay, your rent may be $1,500 a month, but in next year it may increase to $1,550, something like that. So you always want to read the fine print. So now I'm gonna get to the good stuff. This is the part that I was hoping to get to. This is the part that I know y'all would love. Moving out of New York City, the first thing is the quality of life. And when I say the quality of life, I'm talking about the peace, the quietness, the real nature that you will have moving to the South, because there's a lot of trees in the South and you could breathe a lot better. You know what I'm saying? The air quality is a lot better. Your lungs are open up more, and it'll be better for your body overall, because you don't have to worry about the cars, putting out fumes. You don't have to worry about the garbage. You know what I'm saying? And even though people do recycle, it's not a necessity in New York City, but people do recycle. Like we do recycle, and we do have our regular garbage and stuff like that. But it's crazy because the garbage breeds rats and rodents and roaches and all type of stuff. And you don't know what the rats and the roaches, the rodents is carrying around. Because they could be sick too, and they looking for food, so they feed off that food that you put out. When you put out your garbage on the days that you put out your garbage, you got garbage from a lot of businesses in the neighborhood, so that brings a lot of garbage. That brings sicknesses, you know what I'm saying? And you breathing in that stuff, you don't know what you're breathing in. It's crazy, man. Pro number 2 will be the fact that you can definitely get a car when you move down south, if that's what you're looking for. You don't really necessarily have to have a car in New York City, because it's so annoying. If anybody knows that had a car or has a car currently, they know what I'm talking about. You gotta constantly worry about the tickets. You gotta constantly worry about the alternate side of the street parking. You got to move it in the daytime at a certain time, or at night at a certain time, so that the sanitation department can roll through and clean the streets. Um, you, because you know a lot of people they don't really like transportation that much, but then it's like the other con to that is like, okay, if you don't take the bus or train or Uber or a dollar van, you know what I'm saying? You may ride your bike, you may ride your scooter. You know that's good. You know it's good for the environment, but nobody wants to pay all that money for Ubers and cabs and stuff like that. So that's another. I will put that with the con. You know, spending a lot of money on cabs and Ubers and stuff like that. And don't, for the love of God, don't take no yellow cab in New York City. I'm telling you, please don't take no yellow cab in New York City, please. But the third pro of moving out of New York City, you know, I talked about having the quality of life. I talked about the peace and everything, the quietness and everything, and then, you know, the nature part. The other pro is, you know, you may go to an area where people don't know you. You know, a lot of times people become familiar with you. They become familiar with you, so they know you. So they figure, you know, they could overstep certain boundaries and stuff like that. But you have to be able to tell them, hey, you going too far. You're going too far. But the other pro will be that, you know, you have a place to live, you have a backyard. You know, if I want to go out and if I want to go in my backyard or my front yard and I want to grill, you know, I want to put burgers on the grill, I want to put franks on the grill, and, you know, chicken or whatever else I decide to cook, I could do that. See, in New York, you can't do that because you have rules and regulations you got to follow, and a lot of times where you live at, you can't do that, especially in New York City housing. You can't do that. They don't allow you to do that, but people do it. But you know, you know, that's the thing. You know, it's like, would you rather be outside? Because I've seen people on my block, they're outside cooking, you know, putting stuff on the grill and stuff like that. Would you rather do that, or would you rather be in your backyard with it? And you don't have to worry about people in your business as much or much at all, you know, depending on what area you decide to move to. It'll be nice and peaceful, you know what I'm saying? You could kick back on the backyard, the back deck, in your little lawn chair, whatever, your hammock or whatever, you know, and just, you could go to sleep back there, you know what I'm saying? You could think, you know what I'm saying? Your mind would be clear, you know what I'm saying? The quality of life will be better, you know what I mean? It'll be better for your children, you know. And, you know, the other pro I would say is that your children could run around in the backyard or in the front yard. They can make all the noise they want to make. You don't have to worry about people stomping over your head above you. You don't have to worry about hearing stuff below you. You know what I mean? Because these apartments is real. It's like most of them is pre-war apartments. So, you know, they was made for back at that time. So a lot of these buildings is just, you know, it's not soundproof. You know, anything that happens, whether it's upstairs or downstairs, you hear everything. You know, whether the people's fighting, they arguing, you know what I mean? You don't want to go through that, right? You don't have to, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to worry about the landlord coming to you and telling you about what your neighbor said and complaining. You know, you don't have to worry about that. The other pro would be that I would say you don't have to be all close together. You don't have to feel like you closed in, and you don't have to feel like you claustrophobic. I hope I'm saying that right. But, you know, in New York, historically, you know, how the buildings are set up and how these architects built the buildings and stuff like that, how they designed it. Everything is on top of each other. Everybody's on top of each other, so it's no real, like, space. There's no, like, real social distancing. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody's on top of each other. You know, if you're living in a house, you know, a lot of times you're not gonna have much of a backyard. You know what I mean? And the bigger the house, the less space you're gonna have. You know, you're living in like a 2, 3, 4 family house. You know what I'm saying? Y'all basically splitting the house between each other. So everybody on top of each other is like, you know what I mean? You want a better quality of life. And some people be like, well, you know, Isaac, you know, why would you leave New York? Why would you want to leave New York and you know they pay way less in the South? Yeah, that's true. You know, but you can make up for that. You know what I mean? You could have a job and you could have something on the side, just like you can do in New York. But see, you don't. The other pro would be you be able to see your money. You know, you don't see your money in New York because it's like every time you get your check, Uncle Sam take the taxes that they gonna take out, and then you still have other stuff that you have to do, and you don't see your money. You know what I mean? You don't see like, okay, my money went to this, or my money went to that. You know, in the South, you see where your money goes. You know, because people was paying $1,600 for 1 bedroom, $1,800 for 2 bedroom. You know what I mean? You can go down south and get it for half that. And you know, that's just it. But that's the pros and cons of living in New York City. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Like, comment, share, or subscribe. Like Nike, just do it. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you listen in attentively. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. And let me know what you think. And it's Isaac back with another video. And I'm out. Peace.